Since its founding in 1915, the American Association of University Professors has been serving as an advocate to advance the rights of academics, especially those who pertain to the academic freedom and shared governance, and promote the interests of higher education, teaching, and research. The mission of the American Association of University Professors is to advance academic freedom and shared governance, to define fundamental professional values and standards for higher education, to promote the economic security of faculty, academic professionals, graduate students, postdoctoral fellows, and all those engaged in teaching and research in higher education, to help the higher education community organize and to make their goals a reality, and to ensure higher education's contribution to the common good. The American Association of University Professors was founded in 1915 by John Dewey, Arthur Lovejoy, and Edwin Seligman. For perspective, 44,000 bachelor's degrees were awarded that year in the United States, the same number of degrees awarded by Ohio State University 100 years later. Even before the organization was founded, Lovejoy and Seligman were no strangers to the investigation of violations of academic freedom, and this advocacy continues today. Additionally, the AAUP advocates for issues pertaining to tenure, shared governance, pay equality, and due process. The AAUP stood behind those with shared beliefs, even when cases went as high as the Supreme Court. A more recent example of interest to the AAUP involved one Dr. John McAdams, professor at Marquette University. In summary, Dr. McAdams called out a graduate student instructor by name through a blog he writes because the student made statements supporting gay rights. In the eyes of the institution, the issue went a step further as the instructor began to be harassed online as a result of the remarks on Dr. McAdams' blog. Ultimately, the institution handed down a suspension as well as a demand for an apology. When McAdams failed to do so, he was dismissed. That's when McAdams decided to fight back. And fight back he did. When the Milwaukee Circuit Court ruled in favor of the university, McAdams bypassed the Court of Appeals and went to the Supreme Court. During that process, the American Association of University Professors released an amicus brief stating the demand for an apology was a severe sanction imposed on Dr. McAdams without due process and was in violation of Dr. McAdams' academic freedom. Ultimately, McAdams was allowed to return to the classroom after an absence of 7 semesters, and back pay of $230,000 was provided. Peter Bonilla, the vice president of another advocacy organization, framed the issue involving McAdams as a consequence of poor governance as well as a weaker tenure process, making reference to the principles framed by the American Association of University Professors and how the Wisconsin Supreme Court ultimately defended academic freedom, but also rejected the culture which threatened to erode it. While advocacy groups see the McAdams case as a victory, they also see it as a battle in a greater war. With the declining number of tenure-track positions, a continued concern over the power of governing boards, and other issues pertaining to academic freedom being prominent, the work of advocacy organizations will continue to play an important role in the landscape of higher education.